This is a Willets Point Shea Stadium bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Willets Point, Shea Stadium.
The Mets also had the non-tender deadline pass the other day. Non-tendered Grant Hardwick, Alex Young, and Alex Ramirez tendered contracts to Paul Blackburn, Tyler McGill, David Peterson, Luis Torrens, and Tyrone Taylor. Any of these names on this list surprise you at all?
Not really, because I think even the minor league guys, whether it's Ramirez or Hartwig, sometimes, and we've seen other teams already do this, they will take a player off the 40-man roster, but then sign him to a minor league contract. And so like he remains in the organization, but just he's not on the 40-man roster anymore. That could happen. I'm not sure that it's 100% a guarantee for that to happen in the Mets case, but that's the motivation. And yeah, I don't really see them. I don't really blame them for their moves there, because like Hartwig has shown some promise, and there are people in the organization who have liked him. But he was limited because of injuries last year, and so it was hard to really justify the 40-man spot. And same with Alex, or similar with Alex Ramirez, where poor performance, you just cannot have that guy on your 40-man roster if he's not somebody that's going to be ready for you to be a contributor for the major leagues. It's just they gave him the shot last year to prove that. It didn't work out. He did not take a huge step offensively in terms of growth. So I think that was only a matter of time before we saw a move to remove him from the 40-man roster. Not to say that he can't amount to something in the future. He can't be a good player. He very well may end up being a very good player in the future. It's still very young in his career. But yeah, for right now, that wasn't necessarily a huge surprise. And then neither were the other guys. I think Paul Blackburn really demonstrates the idea that the Mets can afford to gamble on that, where at his best, he provides some depth as a back end starting pitcher who has club control, but you're going to have to wait for him as he recovers from his back issue. And I think the Mets are in a situation where they can wait for a guy like that, and they can move him to the IL and whatnot for the roster purposes. But the dollar figure is not something they need to sweat over. I think other clubs would have to sweat over that one, and ultimately probably end up not having him because of how much time he's expected to miss. But the Mets can afford and absorb that type of contract right now. And the other guys are pretty obvious, whether it was Taylor or Torrens or whoever else that they end up tendering contracts to that will get worked out at a later date.
The one signing, they signed to a 1-year contract with Sean Reed-Foley. That kind of surprised me a little bit. I know he had a 1.66 ERA last season and 25 strikeouts, but only in 21 and 2/3 innings pitched. Surprised by this one because he hasn't been able to stay healthy when he's been on the New York Mets. So I'm surprised that they're just giving him another opportunity to do this. Are you surprised by this at all?
Not so much, just because like the 40-man is at a pretty low number right now. So it's not like they're squeezed out for spots. I think it's in like the low 30s. So it's not even over like 35, 36. So like they have the spots to play with. Again, like his contract, like last year he was playing for less than $1 million. So I don't know exactly what his total is yet. I haven't yet reported on that, but it's not going to come in at anything too much over $1 million, I would assume. So, worst case scenario is they just end up cutting him anyway. So I don't view it as I don't view it as really all that noteworthy, in the sense that it's just not going to change it. And the upside is what he demonstrated last year when healthy, is that he can give you 20, 30, 40 innings maybe. And he's another guy who's going to be motivated yet again to stay healthy. Whether or not he does, I'm not sure. But the stuff has indicated that he's pretty good. And you have worse options, I guess, than to have that guy as a back end member of your 40 man.